Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, welcome to Bygone Battle Reviews, the randomly released show where I, Capsiris, Mr. Bandana Scarf Stick Figure himself, talk about Death Battle episodes that released before I started doing YouTube as an actual job/hobby. Oh boy, this is an episode I have been dying to talk about. Ben 10 vs. Green Lantern, one of, if not the most controversial episode in Death Battle history, which is saying something since both Goku vs. Superman 1 and 2 exist, not counting 3, because apparently that one wasn't as controversial for some reason. Anyway, going back to the topic at hand, I feel like I should get this off my chest. Yes, I used to be one of those people who disliked this episode because I thought it was wrong. But to be honest, can you blame me? Ben 10 is quite literally my childhood. Imagine seeing a childhood character that you've loved ever since you were a kid on one of your favorite internet shows, only to be... Yeah, that stung a bit, I won't lie. But I've matured since then. Ben is still one of my favorite characters in Death Battle has ever used, and Hal is my second favorite Green Lantern in all of DC. Second only to Kyle. Kyle is my GOAT. Kyle vs. Simone soon, please. So, looking back on this episode with less childhood nostalgia preventing me from actually enjoying it, how is it? Well, let's find out. Also, before we begin, I am just going to say this now, I will not be talking about any of the drama that came with this episode when Kuro made his videos. If you want to see that, then I suggest watching Jonathan Frostothin's video on this episode. It's great, give it a watch, I'll link it in the description. Starting with the analysis, both are pretty good. I really like Ben's analysis, although I don't really like Boomstick talking about getting freaky with a whole lot of aliens when referring to a minor, but that's just me. I like them talking about Ben's different aliens, both the good and the bad, and also Walkatrout. And they even name drop Feedback! My favorite alien. I just love him so much. He's just so awesome and cool. But you wouldn't know anything about that, would you? One thing I will say as a negative is that they completely make up that thing about the Omnitrix permanently disfiguring the user's DNA. To my knowledge, that has never been brought up in the show's continuity at all. It's a funny cutaway, don't get me wrong, and I love seeing a Boomstick forearms, which I'm going to dub as hand cannons from now on. A name Ben Tennyson would be proud of. Maybe it was in a pop-up trivia or a toy info card or something, but until I see something like that, I'm just going to classify this as made-up info. Unless they're talking about this moment from the reboot, which makes a lot of sense since Liam was the one who wrote this episode, and he isn't really that good when it comes to researching Ben 10. Yeah, I said it, and we'll talk about it later. Another negative I have, which is really just a nitpick, when they bring up Way Big and they say his cosmic beams can hurt living energy, they show a clip of him fighting Malware, who is not living energy, because that would be Dagon, not Malware. But outside of those two issues, well, one issue and one nitpick, Ben's analysis really is great. And the same can fortunately be said for Hal. Now, if any of you follow me on Twitter, shameless self-plug, you'll know that I don't like people dissing my boy Hal. So this analysis really makes me happy, because it treats Hal with the respect he deserves, while also poking fun at some of the silly things about Green Lanterns. Like the Leprechaun thing, and them bringing up all the weird members of the GL Corps. They even bring up the GOATs, Mogo and Kyle. And that's how you know this analysis is great. Also, completely random, not so off-topic side note here, did you know that a Tetramand is a member of the Green Lantern Corps? Yeah, I'm not lying. One of Ben's aliens is a Green Lantern. Shit, now I gotta think of a name for this one. How about Mint Manus? Because Manus is another word for hand. And you know, he's got 4 of them. Yeah, that works. If you have any more names, leave them in the comments below. I love reading this shit. I love reading shit like that. I also like them going over all of Hal's lesser-known powers, the emotional electromagnetic spectrum, and I absolutely adore the cutaway gags. The yellow elephant joke is funny, but the impressible bit is so adorable, and I love it. Honestly, it's hard to find things I don't like about these analyses. I think it covers both characters really well. I mean, it could use a little more versus stuff, but given that these two operate on a cosmic scale, Yeah, it definitely would have been a bit too much. Anyway, those were great. I hope that the fight is just as good as the analysis. I have words, and a lot of them are not going to be very nice. Okay, joking aside, this animation is really well made. For the first half. So let's talk about it quickly before talking about the second half. And it's only natural I start off the first, more positive part by being an asshole. I don't like NAL's performance as Ben. I don't know if this is going to be a hot take, but man, this Ben voice is not good. It doesn't fit the Kid Ben sprite that they're using. It sounds too Sonic the Hedgehog-y for Teen Ben as well. And that's because NAL is using this, his Sonic voice for Ben here. But while his performance for Ben isn't the best, his performance for Ben's aliens, man, take me out to dinner and I will pay for everything because that vocal range is god tier. I love a lot of these voices. If I had to rank them really quickly, it'd probably go Gray Matter. I'm not that big on the typical high-pitched voice for small boy thing that they went with here. Forearms, it sounds good, but it doesn't have the same growl to it as that classic and even UAF Forearms had. Alien X, it's more in line with how he speaks in Omniverse, but I just prefer how UAF handled his voice with having the 3 personalities speak at the exact same time. It's still really good though. It's got that ethereal cosmic god vibe to it. It's great. And finally, Heat Blast and Way Big, because hearing both these guys' talks makes me want to bake a cake and deliver to NLA's house personally. Like, Heat Blast takes inspiration from Steve Bloom, the best Heat Blast voice, and Way Big, I mean, just listen to Way Big. It's beautiful. Hal's voice is good as well. I think Bradley Gareth did a great job with Hal. But yeah, NAL hasn't beat by a way big margin. God, that was terrible. I am so sorry for that. Hell, this isn't even talking about the actual fighting. A lot of this shit isn't actually shit because it's really good. I love how creative Hal gets to be with his constructs in the fight. I mean, you got some basic things like a big hand and a big rope to restrain forearms. Ooh, ugh, I burped there. Like a giant fire extinguisher to counteract Heat Blast's supernova. Or the big boxing gloves to square up with Way Big. Or the big freak-off moon that Hal used to try and squish Way Big before he shows up.
Well, it takes one to know one.
Later. And the sound design. My sweet uncle on a boat. The sound design is spectacular. I've already sung my praises for the voice acting, especially Way Big, which makes me very happy considering he's one of my favorites. But the sound design is just as good. I mean, they even managed to replicate the sound Heat Blast makes from the classic series. You know, the one that almost makes it sound like it's like screeching? Yeah, that one, that sound effect. It's recreated so nicely in this episode. Plus, the supernova sounds great. All of Way Big's everything sounds so big and grand. It really gives you a good sense of scale when you remember that Way Big is way big. And Alien X's super duper frick you flick is amazing. I suppose now is time to talk about that. Time, dear viewers? Is it really that time again? It seems as if you only just arrived to the second part of the animation. So yeah. If you couldn't tell by my procrastination, the second part of the fight loses me a lot. After Alien X flicks a booger off his finger and on Hal and sends him into space, the fight gets significantly more cape shit. And not in a Goku vs. Superman 2023 way, but in a significantly worse Galactus vs. Unicron way. For starters, what is this? Not only is X holding Hal by the back of his palm, but what is this slow, sluggish Dodge sedan-ass existence erasure? Alien X's existence erasure is supposed to be instant. They could just blink, and you'd be gone. And Hal's resistance to existence erasure is also instant. So why is he just Infinity Warring his death here? Is it so he can get off this one cool move? Honestly, thinking about it a little more, Hal would be the type of guy to do that. Never mind, I guess. Moving on to the actual fighting, where is the cool-ass reality warping? Where is the galaxy-sized black hole, or the universe collapsing around them as a side effect of their battle? This is just so bland. Oh, but do you want to see the biggest offender? Look at this. Look at all these Alien X clones just chillin'. Chillin' while they wait for 3 of them to slowly break Hal's shield by punching it. No energy blast, no time or reality manipulation, nothing. Just literal cosmic gods punching. And that's it. And then Hal just erases a shit ton of them by dropping a Metro Man fart. You know those clones aren't shadow clones, right? Like, they don't disappear when they've taken damage. Hell, Celestial Sapiens are invulnerable to physical damage. We saw this with X's fight against Galactic Gladiator. Well, okay, I guess it's not invulnerable to physical damage because Galactic Gladiator lost his hand when X kind of exploded, but like in terms of like punching them, that won't do anything to them. Look, X just tanked the destruction of an entire universe, and yet Hal just dropping a fart just disappears them all. What is this? All X does in this fight is punch, create clones, and rewind time. That's it. Oh, yeah, and the death is a mixed bag, I'll be honest. I like the Tims just dropping on Ben and crushing him. I think that's hilarious, but I don't like everything else. Yeah, the time line is funny and all, but why didn't Alien X just rewind time when Hal went back to the past? Because, like, he literally just said, "Time, huh? Thanks for the tip," implying that he was going to do something relating to time. And I know people are going to bring up the whole Soda Bro effect with the, oh, Ben could just sense Hal going back in time with the Soda Bro effect. Alright, I've heard the arguments, both for and against, don't care. Here's why I bring this up though. Now, I know a lot of people criticize the animation for this, but here's why. Because this fight, as good as the first half really is, and it really is good, it really is good. I love the way big fight. The forearms transformation is beautiful. It is all really good. It feels like it's doing the bare minimum. And I'm not saying this, I'm not expecting every single alien to be used or for Hal to use every single lantern construct that he's ever thought of. But I am saying there really should have been more to this fight. Like, where was Feedback in Chromastone? You name-dropped Feedback in this episode. Where was he? That would have been a great counter to Hal's energy constructs. It would have been cool to see their powers play off each other like that. Or what if Ben used Echo Echo to confine Hal into a singular spot, so then Hal creates a set of noise-canceling headphones and escapes? What if Hal trapped Ben in a box, so Ben turns into Ghost Freak and phases out, and the two have a phasing battle because, yes, Hal can phase. Maybe Hal yeets Ben so far so Ben turns into Jet Ray and flies around the whole planet at faster than light speeds, and right before impact turns into Cannonball and smacks into Hal at top speed, destroying whatever barrier Hal created to try to protect himself. Or maybe instead of just freaking punching him, Alien X has a battle with Hal as the two fly through space, destroying planets, stars, entire solar systems in their way. And then Hal grabs two nearby planets and chucks them at X, who just blinks and erases them out of existence. Have both Hal and X trap each other in pocket dimensions, only for them to both break out somehow and continue fighting. There is so much more you could do with it, yet none of it was done at all. This episode really should have been saved for Season 7 when they could get custom sprites. Maybe it could have been done instead of, I don't know, Black Canary versus Sindel. That episode was dog shit. Get rid of it. I don't care. Oh, man. Just save it for a later season. You would have had more time to put into it. And it would have been significantly better than what we got. But you want to know the worst part? As disappointing as the second half of the animation is, it is nowhere near as bad as the god-awful post-analysis. Okay, y'all know I don't really like talking about the post-analyses unless they're really good or really bad. Well, this is one of those times, and this is a really, really bad post-analysis. Arguably the worst in the entire series. Not only is it another case of the post-analysis not really reflecting what they say in the animation, because they say that Ben would always be playing catch-up, only for Hal to be the one playing catch-up in the entire fight. Seriously, Ben shoots fire, Hal makes fire extinguisher. Ben goes big, Hal makes big gloves. Ben becomes a god, and Hal makes clones. Hal locks himself in a bubble and farts the clones away. The only time this doesn't happen is when Hal stabs Ben with the lance, and that's it. Also, why bring up Accelerate when he's basically made redundant because of Jet Ray? Hell, you mentioned Jet Ray in this very episode. They also try to do a soft debunk of Universal Alien X by saying he couldn't stop the universe from being destroyed in the first place, which is funny because I remember them saying something along the lines of his durability was so tough that he didn't even realize total cosmic annihilation was happening around him. That doesn't sound like he couldn't stop the universe from being destroyed. Also, the whole Alien X not having counters to mind control, time manipulation, and transmutation, yeah, that's bullshit. The mind control thing, sure, he's never had to deal with that. Good on you, you get one. Everybody gets one. But the other two, I mean, X literally can choose not to turn back into Ben. This was literally shown in his debut episode. And he also survived the destruction of the entire universe, i.e., all of space and time. And you know another worst part? I agree with them! I think Hal does win. But they do such a terrible job at explaining it that it makes me not want to agree with them. All they had to do was bring up the Mandrake thing in this episode, and I guarantee most of the people who would be who are complaining about the episode wouldn't be complaining as much as they are. Okay, they probably still would, but at least you'd be right to people who are irrational who aren't irrational, salty fanboys. This is what I was alluding to earlier when I said Liam isn't very good at researching Ben 10. This post-analysis is why, and the death battle costs he does are also why. I mean, come on, dude. Reboot Alien X, not Universal in the slightest. No. No, don't. Why would you do that? It's honestly part of the reason why I dread a potential episode for Ben returning. I still want Ben versus Jaden, but I can't say that I'm very excited for it because I know that if Liam gets his hands on it, it's gonna be the same old song and dance probably. Overall, this episode has a great set of analysis, a great first half of a fight, but the second half and the post-analysis really bring it down for me. 6 out of 10. This episode had so much wasted potential, and it hurts to see. I do hope that Ben and Hal can return to the show with better episodes, because this ain't it, Chief. Anyway, what did you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if there are any episodes you want to see me review in the future, comment them down below as well. And while you're at it, hit that like button as well as the subscribe button. And ring the bell if you want to see any more of my videos. Follow me on my socials in the description below. All that in mind, I'll see you later, Cap Nation. Bye-bye! Wait, okay, I didn't make a Party Crashers joke in this episode, so, hold on, I gotta get really close to my mic for this. Wario time. Alright, I'll see you later, bye!